Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the channel. It's been a little while. I apologize. But it's nice to see you all again. It's so funny to say that because I don't see any of you, but I honestly do sort of feel like I am talking directly to the audience, and it's a weird effect, but it does feel genuine, so take it as it is. It has been a little while. I meant to make a video last week, and the week completely got away from me, so I apologize for that. And I have been struggling a little bit to think of what to make a video of this week. There's a bunch of records that I've thought about making videos for, and sometimes I do actually try to feel inspired before I make these videos, because I feel like it comes through in the video itself. And I really was a little bit at a loss, and I didn't have anything that was just jumping into my hands to do a video about. And then I went down and checked the mail, and I got a nice little 12 by 12 flat cardboard package in the mail, and we all know what that means. And those tend to make me very happy. And I opened it up, and it had 2 records in it, and I was like, boom, there's my video. So the 2 records were, the first record, Gary Wilson. This is the Gary Wilson Trio. The album is called Another Galaxy. As far as I know, this is Gary Wilson's first record ever. It's 70s. It was not a major label, you can tell, because it's black and white and because of that font. I've seen that font on a few other records, and they tend to be very small pressings. Anyway, Gary Wilson, his most famous record is from 1977. This is 1974, so he must have been around 20 when he made this record. He plays bass, upright bass, and some piano in this. Piano including piano not played right, so strumming strings, scratching strings. Gary Wilson put out a couple of records really only in the 70s, and then kind of vanished from the music scene until, as far as I know, until the mid-2000s. And I think that was only inspired by musicians citing him as an inspiration, citing those early, the 70s albums as an inspiration, including Beck. And he, I guess, decided that he would come back, and he's released, the vast majority of his records have come out since 2003. But this one, 1974, it is a free jazz record. He's considered an avant-garde, really sort of out there rock performance artist kind of musician. But this one isn't any of that, other than avant-garde, I suppose. He was heavily influenced by John Cage. When he was a teenager, he was taken under John Cage's wing, apparently. But this one, while the title track starts out with an excellent funk pace and very tasty playing by the trio, it breaks up into free jazz by about halfway through, and the rest of the songs are more or less entirely free jazz. That said, it's not an aggressive free jazz, if that makes any sense. While the playing doesn't necessarily relate to what everyone else is playing in any of those kind of traditional ways, it's all eloquent and kind of beautiful. There are moments where people are really doing more scratching the strings of their instrument, or banging the reverb on their amplifier to get effects like that. But it all works, and like I said, it's not a particularly aggressive free jazz record. And it's really tasty, and it's great. It's really, it was a surprise. When I put this on this morning, I was pleasantly surprised. And look at how cool Gary Wilson looks in that photo. He's got his giant bell bottoms, but also look at that Flava Flav watch he's wearing around his neck. How cool is that? The other record that came in that same package from that same seller on Discogs is Mike Cooper. I'm a big fan of Mike Cooper. If you look him up, he's a singer-songwriter, guitar player. But that does not describe him in the least. He's largely a slide guitar player, but his records, at least all the records that I have of his, are far more avant-garde electronica and ambient than they are singer-songwriter or song-like. This one follows that path pretty clearly, as do really most of the other ones that I have of his. I probably have 5 or 7 of his records. This record is called New Kiribati. A lot of his records, the ones that I have at least, all tend to evoke a place very strongly. And he does this by layering found sounds, so whether it's insect sounds and bird sounds and ambient wind sounds or surf sounds, and he kind of builds up this pretty dense soundscape in which he adds sometimes electronic effects, something that will kind of bubble from one side to the other or surround you. And then after this builds, and it's never chaotic. It really is sort of in an abstract sense. He really is building a pretty concrete space, and then which he does on this and on a lot of his other records. Towards the end, and on this one, it's towards the end of each side. So even though there's 5 tracks on here, each side plays as a track, but the 2 sides play as separate tracks, and both of them have this ambient build, and both of them 3/4 of the way through the side you start to hear his beautiful slide guitar playing, easing in very subtly and sort of weaving in and out of the ambient environment that he has created. And it's really beautiful. In some of his records, not in this one, in some of his records he sings as well. One of the records that I have, and I'll dig it out, and I don't remember what it's called. I swear to God, it sounds like a Ry Cooder soundtrack watched on mushrooms. And it's really a wonderful thing. Not that I've ever watched a soundtrack on mushrooms. That sounds weird anyway, but highly recommended. Mike Cooper's lots and lots of great stuff. While the Gary Wilson record, as far as I know, is really unusual in his discography, and I love it, but I don't know if any of the other ones are like that. With Mike Cooper, I know that a lot of his records are like this, and I love them all. Really great stuff. Beautiful to listen to, relaxing, transporting, and thank you again for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.